MovieWeb.com.
So I wanted to begin by asking you about the film and the choice to make this movie in animation as opposed to live action. How do you think that better serves the story?
Well, I think that because so many people were familiar with Astro Boy previous to this, he's had so many different incarnations in his television shows and the manga in Japan, and I think that it better served him to stay an animated character because we're already sort of Americanizing it by making this movie, and I think that we were sort of better sticking with his storyline and keeping in the animation world.
No, I think it makes sense. You know, it's definitely more sort of in step with the original manga. You know, the sort of the cartoony version of Astro Boy rather than something that is totally real.
I think it suits it better because it's kind of a comic book tradition. It comes out of Japan and manga. The drawings are beautiful. And I think from the point of view of the special effects and the general authenticity, the kind of reality of it all, I think it's probably best placed as a CG thing.
I think it does. I think because it's originally such a graphic property and the designs are quite extreme, and also it's always been in animation. I just think it looks strange in live action. Astro wouldn't look like Astro in live action unless you could find a kid with a really huge head.
Where are you, robot boy?
Oh no.
There you are.
What? Oh. Ha! Cool.
Were you aware of the property and the popularity in Japan when you came onto the project, and how do you balance what the fans are expecting with what you wanted to do as an artist?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big role, I guess, to take on, you know, due to the fact that he's been so popular in Japan for over 50 years now. But perhaps, you know, people in England and America haven't had the chance to, been exposed to him as much as they should have been. So there was a lot of pressure in some ways for us to make the sort of the shortened version of Astro Boy's adventures, in an hour and a half, and getting everything that's great about him. But it was fantastic to work on. It was like a big secret that we all had, getting ready to show it and make sure that everyone knows about him.
Well, did I have expectations about how huge this was? No, I didn't. I didn't know. I'd never heard of Astro Boy, I have to say. But for some reason, I think North America, of all the places in the world, was the one place where, Astro Boy wasn't as big as it was in other countries in the world. So I really didn't know what it was till I actually started working on the project, and then found out, when you start actually Googling and saying, well, what is this thing? Huge, like huge around the world. So I think there's an expectation, probably, all over the world, when this thing comes out. I'm sure Japan, especially.
Well, fans' expectations are always scary, but you get used to operating despite that fact. You try not to think about it too much and do your best. I was a little bit aware of it. I knew that it was a phenomenon in Japan, for instance. I knew they had statues to Astro Boy and stores dedicated to Astro Boy. So I figure, as has been suggested by other people, he's kind of the Mickey Mouse of Japan. So I was aware of him, but I wasn't that familiar. But I'm very, very pleased. I was also pleased to be working with Dave Bowers, who made Flushed Away, so I knew I was in good hands, and this was an obviously attractive thing.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Ouch! Hey, didn't your nanny bots tell you it's rude to sneak up on people?
How's your head?
Well, it's still on. They say that sometimes when it's really clear, like tonight, you can still call through to Metro City.
You want to call Metro City?
Yeah, what, you've never made a prank call before? The only thing is I can't get this stupid phone to work.
Let me try.
Knock yourself out.
Ah! Ow. Here. It's kind of weak, but there's a signal.
Hey, not bad. The kid has hidden talents.
When you first saw your character Cora on the screen, the animation and how your image was going to look, what did you how did you feel about that, and did it change the way you were approaching the character at all?
No, not at all. I actually saw her before I started, and I really liked the way she looked. I thought she was very cool, funky, edgy, young, very sassy, but really had this soft interior, which you find out, and she sort of peels back the layers of this film, and you can see why the characters are the way they are. And what was amazing to me was when I saw the film, actually being able to view it as an audience member, as opposed to usually I dissect my performance in a film where I'm going like, oh, I didn't like when I did that, or I can hear my voice. And I think it speaks to how well the film is made that I was able to completely take myself out of it and watch it as an audience member.
What was your first reaction when you saw Astro Boy on the screen with your voice? How did that make you feel?
Yeah, no, it's funny because you sort of only do the voice. You see a little bit of the animation as it goes along, but it's a lot more exciting than doing a normal film at the end. You know, you haven't seen what everyone else has been doing at the same time, and it's exciting just to sort of sit there and see everyone's voices matching up, and to see yourself, your sort of cartoon version of yourself.
Cora kind of, well, more than kind of, but definitely falls for Astro Boy in the film. And so I was wondering, what are some of the qualities that you think of Astro Boy that appealed to her as the character?
Oh, wow. I think, well, Astro Boy, he's so honest. He's somewhat naive, but he really... He's just out to be loved, which I think is a really honorable character trait. He's very loyal, and I think Cora knows that, and I think she really, really likes him. Astro.
Cora? Thanks, guys. Hey, who's driving? Trash can! Faster! Move over!
There's a lot of messages sort of inside the film about pollution and environment and, all sort of social issues. So I was wondering what of those sort of attracted you to the project, and what do you think are sort of the most important things that Astro Boy has to share with the audience?
Yeah, no, I think it's true. There are a lot of underlying themes that you perhaps wouldn't expect from a film that's mostly directed towards kids. But it's great for the adults who go and see it with them. There's the theme of sort of the individual against society, Astro Boy trying to save the world but being battered down by the sort of rules or regulations that are imposed on him. And also just that feeling of trying to fit in that, kids and adults alike can relate to, being slightly different because of his, robot body, but really, in his heart, just a normal kid and trying to fit in and trying to be like everyone else.
It's nice when films have themes that are important but aren't shoved down your throat, and it's not pushy or preachy, but it really, a lot of them resonate now in the world. Like you said, the idea of being at war, the idea of corruption in government, the idea of environmentalism and pollution and taking care of the environment, and of second-class citizens, because one of the main themes in the movie is that we view robots as second-class citizens, and peer pressure tells you you're not supposed to get close to them, keep them at a distance, don't care about their feelings. And I think the lesson there is really just, you got to make that decision yourself. I hope they'll like it. It's slightly intimidating to be making a movie for people who are so familiar with Astro Boy and his many lives, and I hope that they like it as much as they have the other ones.
This October.
Ah, cool.
Declare war on them.
You want a piece of me?
When the world needs saving, he's built for the challenge.
I have to take care of this.
Astro, no! Astro!
Astro Boy.
I got machine guns in my butt.